friends, hello, welcome to this reading for the weekly energies, the week of May the 8th, all the way through to May the 14th. I want to welcome you in. We've got some interesting kind of endings going on this week. We're going into the last quarter moon on Friday. So we had this huge eclipse this past Friday. We're recording this on Monday, the 8th, and you're still assimilating and integrating all the energies that came in from that full moon eclipse in Scorpio on Friday. In between there, I believe it was yesterday, there were some huge CME, some coronal mass ejections that opened us up to even more energies, more amplifications, more ascension, more just opening us up to receive more light and just more in general. The other thing happening though that you may notice, the flip side to this is that full moon is really continuing to amplify anything in your field that requires your attention. So full moons amplify what's most prevalent in your auric field. All the thought forms, all the things that could be years and lifetimes of things, but the ones that are the most prevalent, the ones that you're working on the most, are the ones that hold the most weight, are the ones that are amplified. So as you find things coming up for you, could be soul lessons, could be little niggles and irritations, it could be things you're wanting to work on or continuing to work on, or things that are coming up for you to clear and get rid of. They're coming up. They're still coming up now, and probably will continue into the middle of the week. You'll continue to feel this full moon that we just had amplify all those things that need to be released before the new moon in Taurus happens on the 19th, which is the following week. But we also have Mercury Retrograde ending on the 14th, which is Sunday. Yay! And then next week we've got some amazing, huge energies, but we're not even there to next week yet. This week, what's happening, kind of the main overarching theme of the week is Starseed soul mission upgrades. So I've got my new deck, Mystic Martian Oracle. We're going to pull our first card for the collective message here for this week. I will be doing an extended reading for these soul mission upgrades over on my TLC for the Soul YouTube channel later this week. But let's just see what's going on here for this week. Starseeds seem to be a big, having a big pivot point going on right now. Hence, that's why the Starseed Collective is a little highlighted right now. So we got the Sirians from the B Star. Responsibilities, lessons, and growing up. So B Star is, if you've had a lifetime there, you'll know it. It was more of the aquatic part of the Sirius system. Lots of whale, dolphin, mermaid activity. So you may resonate with that. But in reference to the card, I like to read a little bit because we're learning about some of these star systems or star families that we may not be as familiar with. So Sirian B beings are from the Sirius binary, possibly trinary star system. Sirius B is the white dwarf companion star that was once larger than Sirius A, where Sirius B beings reside. The shamanic Dagon tribe of West Africa revere their ancient teachings on their deity Nomo, who was a Sirian B star being that was said to arrive in a massive flying boat, then instructed them in complex astronomy and ancient history. So some suggest certain renegade Sirius B ETs may have sold out and are responsible for providing advanced interdimensional technology to clandestine government agencies for the Montauk and Philadelphia projects. Okay, so this book goes into all sorts of different little things. This is the book from the card deck. But these card meetings are sink or swim, having to face facts, growing up, adolescence, responsibilities, bisexual, preoccupied, integration, lessons, other commitments, entertainment, training, apprentice, and a novice. So I think this all goes into what we just said about starseed upgrades, new light coming in, and your missions and your soul purpose changing a little bit. Maybe not a 360 or not 360, but maybe not like completely different, but upgraded from what you're doing now. So let's get a card for the Divine Feminine. How does this starseed mission upgrade, soul purpose upgrades playing out for the Divine Feminine this week? I feel like there's a lot of, before I even flip over the card, I feel like there's a lot of new lessons and new learning available to you. Next week, I will go into it slightly. There's a big ignition point. Oh, I'm getting so many chills. There's a big ignition point happening with this fixed grand cross. I don't remember exactly what day. I think it starts on the 16th of next week and runs for like a week or so till the 23rd or something. But it's all the fixed signs are at a 0 point of those signs. And there's some other sacred geometry as part of that having to do with the 222, where I really feel like twin flames that are ready to step up to the next part of their soul mission and their soul purpose are being ignited, ignition, like go time. So depending on what wave you're in, and we're going to talk about twin flame waves in our Twin Flame 2.0 series that's coming up here. I post those every week on Thursday. But depending on what wave you're in, you could either be switching waves, moving up in your journey, kind of having completed a big part of that twin flame path and ready to move to the next wave. Or if you've completed wave 3, so there's 3 waves. If you've completed wave 3, then you're ready to come into reunion/union with your twin flame counterpart. So that is a really huge ignition point, and we're going to touch on that probably in the Starseed extended reading that I'm talking about, and most likely it'll come up somewhere in the Twin Flame 2.0 session that we're doing this week. But for the Divine Feminine this week, we got the Queen of Swords. So I tell you it's a teaching one because I've got all my teaching decks out, where they're the decks where I like to read a little bit from the books, because I think the books have some interesting concepts to share that may be outside what you regularly think about, a certain card or whatever, as you may consciously know it. But this is the Queen of Swords at Bryant Park, Manhattan. The vibe is all about boundaries, an independent person. The resilient Queen of Swords may have experienced heartbreak or had a tough journey through this sword's suit. And the art is on their work break, the Queen of Swords steps outside and sits in the park admiring their sword. In this case, the sword represents boundaries, not always clear cut. They are contemplating how to exhibit, uphold, or enforce them. The advice is, what is your relationship to boundaries? Is there a place in your life where you need to practice working on them? So I think it's going to play out different for each one of you based on the soul lessons that you're working on right now. One big one that I'm working on is like perfectionism, and dropping some of the dropping some of the having to always do things completely exactly right, whatever that is to you, and allowing yourself to just be a little bit more flowing and going with the flow, like everything doesn't always have to be to 100% perfection in your eyes, because part of that comes from the fact that you are a soul living in a physical body. You know, part of your soul is in a physical form. And so the soul only knows at its highest self, it only knows perfection, right? So when you put something that only knows perfection in an imperfect world, in an imperfect physical form, who's here to learn lessons, then there's a little bit of a clash sometimes of wits, and where, you know, you have to kind of give the physical 3D you a break sometimes, because if you strive for 100% perfection all the time, you're really spinning a lot of energy wheels, like a lot of plates in the air. And at some point, if you don't put some of those plates down a little bit, then they're all going to come crashing down. So I think it's a message for the Divine Feminine to just watch those areas where you've got some really strict rules for yourself around the way things have to be done. Let those relax a little bit, and relax into the fact that the best thing you can do for your self-care and your self-love is to give yourself a break from some of these really stringent rules. I'll just give you a quick example. Like in my car, I like my car to be like pristine. I always say, like, you know, it's like my LA, like my Los Angeles, like in California, everybody's cars, many people, I shouldn't generalize, but where I lived, in Orange County and LA, like everybody had like really nice cars. They were always, I've always wanted my car to be like detailed and look really nice inside and not have a lot of junk. And if there's like dirt, you know, in a certain spot, I want to like go vacuum it up. And excuse me, it's been raining here, and my dog comes in and out with her leash on. Her leash is all sandy and dirty and wet. And the dirt, little dirt sandy parts are like getting down into like where the shifter is and where the little cup holders are. And it's like really irking me, like, oh, I don't want that in there. But to get it out, I have to like either go to the car wash and pay for the vacuum, or get my vacuum out, which I can do, get my vacuum out and vacuum it out. But among the million other responsibilities I have, like right now, that falls low on my list of priorities. So I think you're being like guided to prioritize what's really most important to you, and kind of just let those energies lie for a little bit, because you already have the intention to manifest. In this case, my intention to manifest, you know, my car cleaned up a little bit more. So when the time is right, if you're flowing with the energy, then at some point the opportunity arises for you to, for like in this case, for me to get the vacuum out. Like maybe it's a sunny day here coming up soon, is to get the vacuum out and clean out the car. So everything that's you think has to be perfection right away can kind of like flow a little bit more, and just allow the universe to deliver the right timing to you for those things to happen. And you know, that's said for little tiny things like cleaning your car, and bigger things that you want to manifest in your life. All right, so now we're going to get out the Runic Tarot for the message for the Divine Masculine. What does the Divine Masculine need to hear for this week? It's an interesting week. Oh, what is this? I think it's the Ten of Pentacles. Ooh, it's really hard to see. It's some really low light outside right now because of the dark days, but let's just read the book for this one, because this is a teaching deck as well. This one, we're learning a little bit about the Norse mythology. This is the Ten of Pentacles. There it is. They call it the Ten of Shields. I'll hold it up, but I don't know if you can see it or not. I'm gonna look right in there. Viking longships. 2 Viking longships set sail. These Drakkar move out of a channel and are headed into the open waters. The captains raise their horns as they sing, and Galdar runes for safe passage out of the channels. The heads of the dragons, which give the ships their name, are open. Each ship has a row of shields that hang off the sides. Not only does it provide storage for large items, but it protects the people on board each vessel. 3 runes appear in this card. The Ten of Shields shows the power of wealth and legacy. It took years for the Jarl of this clan to amass the warriors and farmers to grow their army. It took years to harvest the trees to build the longships. It took many Irlaws to galder runes and sigils on the shields and ships for protection. Now is their chance to head out into the world and see just what they can find. The warriors on the ships celebrate and sing. They tell stories of what they've achieved and sing of their dreams to come. This is their right and what those will speak about in the future. So this is about completion, a legacy, abundance, stable income, a physical manifestation. Okay. That is a lot. So Divine Masculine, they want me to draw a clarifying card from, the other thing too is I was reading for the Divine Masculine getting really hot. Hot like a heat wave just kind of came over me. Okay, let's get a clarifying card from the Starseed deck. Whew. Gonna cool off a little bit. What's that mean? All right, so for the Divine Masculine gets a clarifying card. This is a big completion point for the Divine Masculine. I think you're ready to start your new Starseed mission. We're going to have a message for the Divine counterparts here. Hold on one second. Oh my goodness, we got reptilians. Predator, survival, and tyrannical. I think this is kind of the same message. Let's just see. This is card number 17. 17 is about moving forward. That you're on the right path. So reptilians, I think many people are familiar with them, are a very close genotype to their alpha draconian allies and have close ties with them. They are typically known to be malevolent, cruel, volatile, and intimidating, and have been associated with many abduction reports. They originate from Alpha Draconis system in Orion constellation. They dealt with, all sorts of weird, stuff that you don't see unless your third eye is like really open. Crossbreeding anomalies, working with the Anunnaki, all the weird stuff. They are lizard-like. They have some shape-shifting capabilities. They largely stay in underground subterranean environments and are associated with other stuff that I can't even understand what it is. The card meanings are tyrannical, cruel, fight or flight reptilian brain, interrogation, predator, survival, bully, territorial, pecking order, militant, and viewing everything as competition. Coming out with this, to me, is almost like a completion card, this 10 of Pentacles. You're ready. I feel like it's the same message, although it's really showing up in a very machismo kind of a way. Like it's the same message about protection. Okay, well, protection and perfection. Protection and perfection. Protecting yourself from those I think for the Divine Feminine, we're working on certain qualities and traits that have to do with just whatever, right? But the Divine Masculine, it's the same thing, but they manifest in different ways. These perfectionism traits manifest in different ways for the Divine Masculine. So when we're talking about Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, it could be you. It could be that these traits are within you because everybody's got Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine. Or this could be you are like a twin flame or somebody watching for their divine counterpart or a soulmate relationship, or one of you is the Divine Masculine, one of you is the Divine Feminine. But these qualities show up in different ways. And so for the masculine, it's a little bit more gosh, wow, they're saying stuff like self-flagellation, like beating yourself up over, things that you feel like you didn't do very well in the past. And the thing here is, like, you're showing up as the 10 of Pentacles, as this worldly person who's, kind of made it for themselves in the world, or is got a steady income, is doing really good, their job or whatever, feels like they're kind of on top of the world in their career. But there's other areas of your life where, you need a little bit more nurturing of yourself, and not being so critical with some of the areas of your life where you feel like you haven't been able to move forward. This could be loving relationships. It could be, with your partner, whatever. It just depends on your own circumstance. But it's about loving yourself enough to forego like those like harsh rules that you've played. It's the same thing. It's the same message, but it's just showing up for the divine masculine in a little bit of a different way. But again, it's about the perfectionism, not being so hard on yourself for things from the past. We're wrapping up a Mercury retrograde this week. And so things from the past continue to show up as little niggles, like, oh, remember that? Remember that? Could you have done better there? Could you have, what could you have done differently about that? And it's like, well, who cares? Because that's way back then. And so when those things come up, it's best to release them and let them go. Those memories, those thought forms, you're closing out a big part of your life purpose, your life plan, and it's time to start a new soul mission. So big chills there. So let's start disintegrating those thought forms that continue to come up and try to make you feel like you didn't do something right, or the way you should have, or could have been done better, all of that. Let's set those to rest. Let's disintegrate those thought forms. If you need to know how to do that, I don't know, I'll have to put up a playlist somewhere for you guys on some healing on how to do that. But most of you, I think, know how to do that. And if you don't, call on Archangel Michael, call on Archangel Raphael, call on your spirit guides to help you disintegrate those thought forms, cut the cords to them, and just move on, because it's time to move on to upgraded soul path. And I just saw 2222 on the timer. So again, I think this is a big ignition point for divine counterparts and twin flames. I'm not going to go into it here because these are supposed to be kind of short weekly readings. But if you want to know more about the whole twin flame thing, it may be coming up for many of you watching this, then you can check out my series Twin Flames 2.0. It's available on my podcast and on my Loveland Tarot channel. The links to everything I talk about, no matter where you see this content, are always either in my bio or in the show notes or in the show description. And then we are going to do this extended reading for Starseed Soul Mission upgrades on the podcast and on my TLC for the Soul YouTube channel. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here. I hope you have a beautiful week. Reach out if you want to book a private session with me. And otherwise, we will see you all again soon on the interwebs or the astrals. And we will talk with you again soon. Take care.